There are some things that are being taught in the manifestation space that are holding people back when it comes to money, that I think are genuinely keeping people stuck in a financial situation that they don't want to be in. And this comes from someone who is completely in the manifestation world. I am someone who's been practicing manifestation techniques for years, who has changed my life with those techniques. I'm certified in breathwork and somatics. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I believe in the energy work. I've seen how it has transformed my own life. I am a manifestation spiritual girly, but there's just some gaps in what is being taught out there in the manifestation space. So today in this video, I'm going to name them, what they get wrong in the manifestation world about money. So hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Sue Ellen. I'm a CPA, I'm a money and manifestation coach, and on this channel, I take a holistic view of money. I teach you the strategy, I teach you the mindset, the belief systems, and we cover the nervous system on this channel. All three are pillars to create a wealthy life, to heal your relationship with money, create wealth that feels good while doing it. We're going to talk about the manifestation world, the spiritual world, and what the manifestation teachers, what the gurus, what they aren't teaching about money. This is no shade to this community. I love the manifestation world. I live and breathe it. Like I said, like these are my people, but I'm going to say this all with love. There are some gaps in what they are teaching, and today I'm going to close that gap for you. I'm going to cover 4 things in this video, starting with number 1. And number 1, I have some big qualms about. It's probably one of the ones that I'm most fired up about. And that high vibe is a manifestation strategy. And what I see out there is people looking at their bank account and feeling some sort of way about it. Maybe they feel guilty or shameful, or people seeing their finances and it's triggering these low vibe feelings. And so it's almost like it's encouraged to avoid, I'm not going to look at that, because I know that by me opening my bank account, by me looking at my loan balance, by me seeing how much I owe on this credit card, that's going to put me in this low vibe state. So therefore, since I have to be high vibe to manifest, I need to be in this uplifting, positive, fake, happy, cheerful, joyful state. That is the way that I'm going to manifest. So because of that, I'm going to avoid looking at my bank account because I don't want to feel low vibe. A lot of the spiritual teachers are teaching that you just have to trust. You just have to trust, we have to be in this high frequency at all time. And that is simply not true. I have to be honest with you about this. That is literally just avoidance dressed up as being spiritual. That is a nervous system response that I am going to avoid my bank account because I know it's going to make me low frequency, low vibe. And so we're dressing it up with this fake spiritual talk that I need to avoid it so I don't get into a low frequency. And again, I say this with love because I truly believe that the people are teaching it are coming from a positive place. They have good intentions when they're teaching this. But the thing is, by avoiding your numbers, by not looking at your numbers, by completely trying to say, I'm not going to look at this because it's going to make me feel low vibe, that is putting you into a place of this perpetual hamster wheel. You are never going to get yourself out of a financial situation where maybe your debt is snowballing, incurring so much interest. If you are not understanding where your money is going, what you are spending on, if you're overspending, if you are double paying things. I had someone message me the other day and was so grateful that I had her start doing money dates because she realized she got double charged for multiple things and found multiple fraudulent charges on her card. If you aren't looking at your numbers, things like this happen, and you need a plan in place to understand how much debt you need to pay off, where you should cut back on spending in order to pay off that debt. There's so many things that avoiding your numbers are creating more chaos in your financial reality than the low vibe feelings that you're going to feel by actually facing it. The real practice is becoming grounded when looking at the numbers, is becoming to a place of understanding, okay, this is what the number is telling me. It is what it is. We don't need to make this anything about our self-worth, our value, who we are as a person, the guilt, the shame, all of these feelings that come with whatever that number represents, it is what it is. And we need to learn to get to a place of awareness so we can actually deal with and shift whatever that number is telling us. Looking at your numbers is not low vibe. Avoiding your numbers is actually low vibe, because believe it or not, people think that avoiding their numbers and not looking at them is actually going to give them this kind of space of feeling safe, because it's very triggering to the nervous system when we don't feel comfortable, we don't feel safe looking at the numbers. But by avoiding the numbers, you're actually creating more dysregulation in your nervous system by not knowing what's out there. You are creating more of the unknown. You are creating more uncertainty in your life, which is more triggering, which is more dysregulating to the nervous system. Avoiding your numbers is actually the low vibe activity here. The actual high vibe activity is looking at your numbers from a grounded, regulated space, to not create stories around these numbers. When we are able to do that, that is actually the high vibe activity here. Being able to look at our numbers, feeling completely whole, safe, worthy, deserving of everything that we want in life, regardless of what that current situation in that bank account, in that loan account, in that credit card account says. It means nothing about us. It is just a point in time of where we are at in this financial journey. It all starts with us just becoming safe with opening the numbers, opening the bank account, getting safe at looking at them. How to sit with those numbers without going into panic mode, anxiousness, overwhelm, creating stories about ourselves. That's where it all starts. How to build a grounded relationship where it actually feels safe. I have a whole practice around this, but the first step is just to be able to open the bank account, open the bank app, look at the number, and breathe. Number two, the second gap that I love to talk about is you can't manifest into a leaky container. And I actually love this metaphor because I think it is actually a beautiful way to describe money manifestation. So here's what I mean. The manifestation world is really good at helping people understand how to call in new clients, how to call in new income, how to call in this visual of this dream life that we have for ourselves. But they don't actually teach how to have the container to actually hold that thing that you are manifesting. They teach us how to do the energy work, how to do the visualizations, how to do the belief building work. All of that matters. It does. It's part of the process. But if you don't have a container, the container being your body, that has a nervous system that is regulated and able to hold it, you will call it in, but you will lose it. You will not be able to maintain the level of nervous system regulation to hold that thing that you are calling in. And what will happen is you'll be able to call that thing in. You'll be able to manifest it. And you're going to manifest it into your life. But if you don't have a container, you don't have a nervous system, a body that is capable of actually holding that thing, you will lose it. Universe, God, creator, source will send you money. You can be manifesting money. Like, I want to manifest a 20K month. You manifest the 20K month, but if you don't have the systems in place, you have no idea what to actually do with your money. You've never had that amount of money in your life, and it is very triggering to the nervous system even receive that money. You are going to lose it all. You are going to spend it all. You are going to be in a position where it feels like more chaos in your body because it feels so uncomfortable to have more money than you've ever had in your entire life because you have not built the container to actually hold that money. You see this all the time with people who win the lottery. They win millions and millions and millions of dollars, and everyone thinks, wow, that is life-changing. But if they have no idea money needs a purpose, when they have no purpose for that money, when they have no strategy set up for that money, when they have never had that much money in their entire life, they end up blowing it all. There's some crazy statistics about how many people win the lottery and end up broke right back to where they started 5 years later because they had no container to actually hold that money, to actually sustain that money. And so that's what we need to do. We need to build our container to actually hold the things that we are manifesting. Manifesting is only one piece of the puzzle. We need the nervous system capacity. We need the regulation. We need the container to actually hold the things that we are manifesting. So a way to look at this is strategy and manifestation, they go hand in hand. You need both. Strategy and the nervous system, those are the container that hold the things that you are manifesting. I've seen women create 5-figure months in their business. They end up blowing it all, spending it all, end up with no cash in their bank account, and then they feel like a failure. They look back and they say, like, I created all of this, but I have nothing to show for it. And they feel like a failure, or they feel like something's wrong with me. There's something wrong with the way that I'm manifesting, but that's just not true. It's just that they didn't have the container built. They didn't have the nervous system regulation in place to actually hold that money that they were manifesting. So manifestation is a piece of it. Building the container while we are manifesting is also the other piece of the work. Okay, number 3 is about belief work. And that affirmations alone are not going to clear the beliefs that you need to shift in order to create and manifest the money that you want to manifest in your life. So many people do mindset work, belief work, but a lot of people don't realize that big pieces of this live in the body. We hold old emotions, traumas, triggers in our body from past experiences that we had as children or as growing up through adults that may have been very triggering and traumatic to our nervous system that we never process fully. Those live in the body. And so while I love affirmations, I create affirmations for myself all the time, that alone is not going to transform your belief systems around money. And so a lot of time you see these manifestation teachers are teaching that you just got to change your beliefs. You got to do the affirmations. You got to look in the mirror and say your affirmations. You got to transform how you're thinking about money. And while on some levels that is true, it's only a piece of the puzzle. We need to transform it from the inside out, and that lives in the body. And so what I've seen before is people doing tons of limiting belief work. They've recognized the beliefs that they had about money. They've transformed them, at least they feel like they have on the surface. They've come up with new beliefs. They've said them over and over again. They've written them down in their notebook. They've got them on Post-it notes on the wall. Like, I have shifted my mindset. I don't believe this anymore. Why am I still flinching? Why am I still feeling my body contracting whenever I get a surprise bill in the mail? Whenever I realize that I have to spend money on a surprise repair in my house or something out of the blue, when my taxes cost more than I thought they would be, why do I still feel like my body is contracting and feel unsafe? That's because it lives in the nervous system. We can tell ourselves all that we want. I am abundant. I attract money into my life. I am a money magnet. I am a wealthy CEO. We can say these over and over again, but if we don't actually believe it in our body, if our body still feels unsafe with money, that is not going to completely transform our relationship to money. And so what happens is we still find ourselves living out these patterns around money where we're overspending, we're still feeling anxious around money, we're still feeling stressed around money, we're still feeling like we can't spend money, we're too scared to invest money in ourselves or our business. We have these patterns that are still happening. It's because they live in the nervous system. Nervous system's number one job is to keep us safe. And so when we have these old patterns, these old emotions, beliefs that are living in the body, our nervous system wants to bring us back to a sense of safety. So whenever we are trying to transform these beliefs in the mind, and we're trying to shift out of this old way of being and thinking, if our nervous system still feels safe, what feels safe to the nervous system is what feels familiar. So those old belief systems, that's what feels safe. That's what feels familiar to the nervous system. It will bring up these patterns, these triggers, these behaviors, these actions that are familiar because we've been acting them out for years and years and years. And that's why they keep happening. And that's why we have to transform them from the body, from the inside out. And that's why I do somatic work. That's why I do breath work when I work with my clients. Because there's 3 pillars that we need to work through to transform our relationship with money, to manifest more money and actually hold it. That's the strategy, that's the mindset and the belief system. It is important. I'm not saying that we don't need to be doing mindset work, affirmation work. It is important, but we need to also be doing it with the nervous system work, the somatic work, the breath work. And that's why I love building these breath work journeys, because as we get into the breath and as we deepen our breath and breathe into this, we are getting into the body and we are releasing those old beliefs. We are releasing all these old emotions. That opens up and creates capacity in the body, capacity in the nervous system to hold the money that we're actually manifesting. And from my experience, once we get into the body, this is the piece that unlocks everything. Okay, and then number 4, the last gap that I see in the manifestation world as it relates to money is that identity work has to be grounded in action. You hear this all the time when we learn how to manifest, is that we have to act as if. But the key piece is it has to include acting. We have to actually be doing something. In manifestation, we learn that we need to act as if. We need to step into the identity of the version of ourselves who has all of those things that we desire, who is living that wealthiest timeline, who is acting as that wealthy CEO that has everything that she desires. And while this is so true, we need to visualize that identity. We need to become, what would it take to become that version of myself? Who is she? How is she behaving? What decisions is she making? How is she speaking? How is she thinking? What is she doing through her daily actions? Like, all of this is important, but we actually have to do it. We actually have to do those things. We have to step into that identity, act as if that version of us, that wealthy CEO, wealthiest timeline version of ourselves, act. We have to actually do inspired action. And where I see people get hung up in this with the manifestation world is they get trapped in the visualizing. They get trapped in the scripting. Every day they're writing out, okay, what is my wealthiest version of myself? What is she doing? And they're scripting out a day in their life and they're getting really clear on it. And they sit down and they meditate and they're channeling that energy. What would it feel like to embody that version of ourselves? And it's like when they close their eyes, they can feel into that version of themselves. They can feel the emotions. They can feel what it would feel like to be that version of herself, but they're not actually doing it because taking the action as her feels uncomfortable. It's actually really scary to do the things that version of ourselves are doing because that's actually expanding our capacity. That actually goes back to what we talked about. Getting into the body is stepping into this version of ourselves is going to feel hard. It's going to feel like resistance. And so when we do these embodiment practices, when we do somatic work and breath work that is releasing some of these old emotions and feelings and these old ways of being, when we can release those, we can start acting as if more easily. And so what I notice in women who are actually building wealth that's sustainable, that lasts, they can actually generate and manifest the income, but actually hold it. They are taking action, and they are taking action from a place of operating like a wealthy CEO, meaning they have a financial plan in place. They know where their money is going. They have a purpose for their money. They know how to embody that version of her, the energetic version of her, the version of her that creates wealth in her business, that is able to manifest the income, but she also takes the action and she has the discipline around her money to actually hold it. And she acts like a wealthy CEO. A wealthy CEO knows what she's doing with her money. She makes money a priority for herself in her life. She knows money is important and she makes it important. Both things are true. The energetic shift is necessary, but also the behavioral shift is necessary. The action that you're taking, that is also necessary to anchor in the new identity of a wealthy CEO. And so if you're all up in the manifestation world, doing the visualization, the energy work, the scripting work, but you have no actual foundation, no actual action taking, you're building a beautiful vision that has no foundation. We need both. And that's the whole premise of the philosophy that I teach is I love manifestation. I love the energy work. I love the visualization. I love creating this wealthiest timeline for ourselves and understanding what is that version of me? Like, who is that version of me? What is she doing? What actions is she taking? How is she talking? Who is she in the room with? What rooms is she getting herself inside? How is she handling her money? How is she structuring her money? What is the plan in place that she has for her money? understanding like who she is, but then also knowing that the strategy, that the actual doing, the embodiment, the actual acting as if, as this version of myself is just as important. So the real work to build wealth that actually lasts is doing the manifestation work, the energy work, but also having strategy in place and taking the actions to implement and take inspired action regarding the manifestation work that we're doing. It's doing the affirmations, but also doing the body level work to shift the beliefs within the body. It's creating the vision. It's creating this wealthiest timeline for ourselves, but also creating the strategy that will allow us to implement that vision. It's identifying what is that new identity? Who is that version of myself who has this wealthiest timeline that I see for myself, but also implementing and acting out that version of ourselves. We need both sides to create wealth that is sustainable, that actually lasts. It's not one or the other, it's both. And this is exactly what I'm going to be teaching in my free workshop that's coming up at the end of the month, where I'm going to take you through the 5 gaps that I see that are holding people back from their wealthiest timeline and how you can start shifting those today. We're going to be talking about the strategy, we're going to be talking about the mindset, and then we're going to be talking about the nervous system. All 3 pillars are absolutely necessary to create the wealthiest timeline that you see for yourself and actually be able to hold it and sustain it. Plus, it's going to include a live breathwork journey, which is so powerful to do breathwork live in a live container. In this breathwork journey, my intention really is to help you release some of these beliefs and blocks that we are carrying in the body, like we talked about in this video, and help you step in, create the vision, that wealthiest timeline for yourself, and see and feel what it would actually feel like to be that version of yourself today. So the link is going to be below in the description. It's completely free. There will be a replay for a short period of time, and I'm really looking forward to taking you through this transformative experience. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these 4 things actually resonated with you the most in this video. I hope you all have an amazing week ahead and can't wait to see you in the next one.